Welcome to this explainer, everyone. Today, we are unlocking what I absolutely love to call the secret weapon of advanced English. If you've been searching for a way to really upgrade your writing and speaking, to sound more authoritative, formal, and precise, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to master a grammatical tool known as inversion. It's a brilliant little technique that takes your language from standard to highly sophisticated in a heartbeat.
Let's start with a quick before and after. Imagine a perfectly fine basic sentence. I had never experienced such pressure before an exam. It's okay, right? But now listen to the exact same idea using inversion. Never had I experienced such pressure before an exam. Wow. Do you hear that dramatic shift in tone? It instantly sounds more formal, more impactful, and just way more advanced. That sonic stylistic upgrade, that is the absolute magic of inversion.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at our roadmap for mastering this tool. We'll be hitting 6 key flavors today. 1. The secret to advanced English. 2. Negatives and time shifts. 3. Adding power and emphasis. 4. Elevating formal conditionals. 5. Descriptive and everyday uses. And we'll wrap it all up with 6. The strong coffee rule. Let's get moving.
Starting off with Section 1, the secret to advanced English. Now, you probably already know inversion from asking simple, everyday questions, but at the C1 level, it becomes an absolutely critical tool for essays, reports, and speeches where your style and emphasis truly matter.
So, how does it actually work? Well, it's like a really simple puzzle. Your standard English pattern is just subject plus verb, right? But to create this advanced structure, we literally just follow a basic 2-step formula. Step 1, identify your auxiliary verb. Those helper words like had, have, do, or was. And then step 2, place that auxiliary verb completely before the subject. Boom! It's a tiny mechanical flip, but it completely changes the weight and rhythm of your whole sentence.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, negatives and time shifts. This is our first real grammatical grouping, and it's where inversion truly starts to shine, letting us manipulate the timeline and tone of our narrative with laser precision.
Check out these trigger words. When you start a sentence with a negative or limiting expression, things like never, rarely, seldom, or phrases like under no circumstances or at no point, you trigger this powerful structure. Slapping these words at the absolute front of your sentence basically forces your reader or listener to stop and pay immediate attention.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer difference in impact. You could easily write a standard sentence like, I have never seen such confusion during a presentation. It's accurate, sure, but by shifting that negative word to the front, never have I seen such confusion during a presentation, the sentence becomes remarkably stronger. It absolutely commands authority.
We also use inversion to show immediate time sequences, which is a total game changer for formal storytelling. The big triggers here are hardly when, scarcely when, and no sooner than. But hey, quick warning here. Listen closely. A massive, super common mistake for learners is writing no sooner when. No way, scratch that. Notice how no sooner absolutely must always be paired with than.
Let's hear this in action. Casually, you just say, she arrived and the meeting started immediately. Gets the facts across. But dynamically, listen to this. No sooner had she arrived than the meeting started. By using this time shift trigger and inverting the subject and auxiliary verb, we stylistically show one event just instantly snapping into action the absolute second the previous one ends.
Let's transition over to Section 3, adding power and emphasis. If the last section was all about timing, this one acts like a bright neon highlighter for connecting your ideas and expressing really intense situations. Here are the specific vocabulary triggers that literally force us to emphasize cause, condition, result, and intensity in high-level writing. Starting a sentence with not only, an only condition, like only by, or strong intensifiers like so and such, allows you to beautifully spotlight your most crucial arguments.
Watch how this transforms a pretty basic sentence. The course was useful and it was also well organized. It's a bit flat, kind of boring, right? But listen to the upgrade. Not only was the course useful, but it was also well organized. See? Using not only paired with inversion beautifully elevates a simple compound sentence into a highly sophisticated presentation of two deeply connected ideas.
And this brilliantly illustrates how inversion works in, say, an academic essay. The standard version, cities can reduce traffic congestion only by investing in public transport, is totally fine. But Only by investing in public transport can cities reduce traffic congestion. By dragging that only by condition to the absolute front and inverting can cities, your argument suddenly becomes dramatically more emphatic and persuasive. It really packs a punch.
We can also use it to focus heavily on intensity. Starting with so focuses intensely on an adjective. So tired was I after the exam that I fell asleep on the bus. You can really feel that exhaustion, right? And if you wanted to focus on a noun phrase or a whole situation, you'd use such. For instance, such was the noise that the teacher stopped the class. It's a wonderfully formal, slightly dramatic way to emphasize an extreme situation.
Okay, moving on to Section 4, Elevating Formal Conditionals. This is arguably the most practical trick in this entire explainer. We're talking about instantly polishing your formal emails, official notices, and professional instructions.
Watch what happens when we literally just drop the word if. You start with, if I had known about the delay, I would have left later. Now, simply remove the if, take that auxiliary verb had, and apply our little inversion formula. Had I known about the delay, I would have left later. The meaning hasn't changed at all, but the level of sophistication, massive upgrade.
Think about your everyday official correspondence. If you need further information, please contact the office. That is standard everyday stuff. But compare it to the alternative. Should you need further information, please contact the office. Swapping out if you for the inverted should you makes you sound significantly more polished, professional, and just, well, authoritative in a business context.
Section 5. Descriptive and Everyday Uses. We're going to briefly explore two completely contrasting sides of inversion here: vivid literary descriptions and then completely natural everyday conversation.
First, the literary side. Starting a sentence with a place expression, like on the desk lay a pile of essays, makes your descriptive writing feel incredibly vivid and dramatic. It works perfectly with movement or position verbs like stand, lie, sit, or go. But on the exact opposite end of the formality scale, look at these short responses. So did I, neither have I, nor can she. These short inverted responses are actually much less formal and highly common in standard everyday speech.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 6, the strong coffee rule. I'm going to shift my tone a bit here from enthusiastic to, well, cautionary. Because while inversion is an incredibly powerful tool, it definitely comes with a hazard warning.
I want you to genuinely ask yourself, based on everything we've looked at today across this explainer, when exactly should you deploy this technique? You obviously want to sound formal, and you want to show off your grammatical control, but you absolutely have to be strategic about it. So the crucial point is perfectly captured by this brilliant metaphor directly from our source material. Inversion is like strong coffee, useful, impressive, but dangerous in large amounts. If you try to force this into every single sentence of an essay, you aren't going to sound sophisticated. Actually, scratch that. You'll end up sounding like some dramatic 19th century judge giving a theatrical speech in court. One or two accurate examples in a piece of advanced writing are usually more than enough. Let's look at the ultimate golden rule of thumb here. If inversion makes your sentence stronger, use it. If it only makes the sentence heavier, leave it out. Accuracy and a natural readable flow will literally always matter more than forced drama. Your goal is crystal clear communication with just an edge of sophistication, not a heavy, complicated mess. And that leaves us with one final provocative question for you to consider. Will you choose your grammatical coffee wisely? The very next time you sit down to write a formal essay or type out a professional email, look for that one perfect opportunity to flip the subject and the auxiliary verb. Use it to emphasize your best argument or to sound just a little more polished. Master that, and you've truly mastered C1 level impact. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time.